So let me start off by saying my name is Dustin, and I've been living in a van now for a little over a month. And I'm just going to kind of give you a very brief overview of who I am, how I ended up choosing this path. It was my original intent um, to never speak in any kind of video. I think there's way too many of that, and I didn't want to be another face in the crowd. I was just going to kind of make kind of like a montage of living in a van with just like music in the background. But this will be a very rare occasion of me actually speaking. I think it's important to any viewers, even if it's just one guy out there, um, as to what led me personally into choosing to live in a van. Um, Everybody's motives or intentions are different. Some are quite the same or similar. I've noticed. Um, but let me first explain the the philosophy of van life and the appeal to it, especially now. I notice that a lot more people are kind of being drawn to it, and a lot of what we would, excuse me, what we would consider to be normal people are kind of being drawn to that. Where typically in the past it was, if you were living in a van, you fell on hard times, you're a crackhead, or you had some kind of mental disorder. So I have none of those, none of the above. Um, Not that I know of. But what led me? Well, first off, let me rewind here really quick. I want to make this fairly short. We're already going on 2 minutes here, and I know you guys have ADD. I don't want to keep you too long. Um, but what a little brief overview of who I was as a person before I chose to do this. I was successful financially, socially, materialistically. I had everything. I had a future ahead of me. I was popular with women, with men as well. I mean, you name it. I'll add a couple pictures of my past, and this was only like a year and a half ago. This wasn't that long ago. Um, so, what led a fairly well-rounded individual into choosing, you know, uh, a van, living in a van? Why would someone do that? You know what I mean? Especially someone who had such a set future, it seems. Um, yes, I had those things, but beneath it all, um, I was yearning for something deeper. It felt so fake. It felt so phony. It didn't feel authentic to me, and I don't know. I wanted something deeper, something more meaningful, and I also wanted to feel like a man. Okay, just because you make a paycheck or just because you make a lot of money, that doesn't make you a man. There was a certain essence in the male that's kind of disappeared throughout time. That fierceness, that drive, that just living off of your wits and instinct, and making fire with just your hands, or hunting for your food, or exploring the wilderness and getting lost, and you know what I mean, just really getting in touch with who you are. To me personally, I think the modern male is he's lost that. And that's why you see a lot of gender identity issues today, because we're losing that masculinity, we're losing that instinct, that drive, to be instinctly male. I think the modern male's life is an infomercial, filled with comforts, um, filled with the newest gadgets and gizmos, and uh, the modern male is a couch. He's turned into a television. He's lost that primal urge to to be a fucking man, and that's a big part of this for me, is to go out there, survive on my wits, survive off of just bare minimum. um, and I was getting sick and tired of waking up at 6:30 a.m. going to some job, and just kind of, there wasn't a lot of purpose behind it. There's not a lot of purpose behind buying stuff or having stuff that just doesn't really matter. It becomes a hole, a gaping hole inside of you. And yes, it does provide some certain level of pleasure, but then you need more, and then you need more and more and more. And that hole grows and grows and grows, and it takes more to fill it. Since I've dropped off, so to speak, and I've let all of that shit go, I quit my job, I left, I bought a van, I converted it. If you want to see what the entire thing looks like, I have another video for that. But I feel light. I feel fulfilled. I feel a certain level of enlightenment. I feel closer to the earth. I feel like I have less obligations and less in all these voices that would surround you and telling you what you need to do and this and that. It's dropped. And now I can totally hear and get in tune with what I want, with what I'm saying in my head. I'm making my decisions every day. It's not being made for me. I'm not being told where I just heard a gunshot in the middle of the woods. This is what I want. This is great. Now, really quick, I used to wake up next to an alarm clock, okay? Now I wake up next to a fucking combat knife. Last night I made a steak off of a propane grill, and I charred it in the night underneath the stars in the mountains here. And the feeling is just it's great, and if I have a message, it's whatever you're looking for. It's not going to be found in money. It's you can get pleasure in money, obviously, and I think a lot of people mistake that for genuine happiness, but it's just not there. I've had it. It's not there. I've known people who had it, and they're miserable because I think they thought when they finally got to that point, they would finally be happy, and they realized I'm not. And I'm not recommending living in a van, but I think we really need to put more emphasis on living and life versus chasing the almighty dollar and things that just don't really matter. They just don't matter. And it's really had an impact on our earth. It's had an impact on our environment. And I think they're essentially useless. And I think we're destroying ourselves and we're destroying the earth for stuff, for things, for your 9 to 5. It's really not that important. At the end of the day, you're going to die. And if you have an urge to do something, do it now while you have a chance. Don't wait till you're dying. Don't wait till you don't have a chance. Do it now. That's my biggest words of advice that I'll give to anybody, even if it's just that one guy watching, and maybe hopefully I've inspired you to go out there and do something. Even if it scares you, just go do it. Not rob a bank, but if you felt forced to be a doctor through your parents, but you really wanted to be an artist, don't listen to them. Do it. If you want to take a trip to Australia, but you feel limited and stuck at work all the time, fuck them. Go do it. The options and the fantasies are endless, but you get the idea. But that's kind of why I chose this lifestyle. Yeah. And I don't regret it. I never will.